Insta360 GO is the tiny, mighty action camera, some side powered with...
Oh, hell no! You are not watching another Insta360 GO commercial or some YouTubers reading off the press release. This is the first hands-on review of the GO from a professional filmmaker. We brought the Insta360 GO to Lake Tahoe to film some snowboarding. And Hugh's not a professional snowboarder, so forgive him for that. We know this is one of the reasons why you are getting this small action camera, and we want to put it to test in the real world scenario. We will review the GO in two conditions: action sports and daily use. In daily use, we traveled with the GO on American Airlines. You will see how good the stabilization is of the GO during the takeoff and the landing, how we use it as a POV camera in Jim Carrey's art gallery. Actually, it's not his gallery, but you know, it's his art. It was pretty cool to see in person. And even in a public bathroom. Okay, Hugh, you need to cut that out because we gotta keep it PG-13. We mounted the camera on our chest, on our backpack, on our hat, on our car, and even a dog. And we tested it against the Insta360 One R, GoPro, and my iPhone in low light.
So because I had the idea, but they asked...
We even brought the GO all the way to Joshua Tree to shoot the stars with a long exposure mode. You might see an alien spacecraft, but I don't know about that. Anyways, look at this beautiful picture. Can you believe that this tiny little camera took this? Let's dive right in.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Hugh here from Creator Up. I am right now in front of the beautiful ski resort, Tahoe, California. And we're gonna snowboard and review the camera right here, the Insta360 GO, the brand new camera. See how good it does in action sport like snowboarding and skier. And I think I just stepped on pee. Look at that, guys. That's disgusting. Somebody pee on the snow. Oh well, guys, let's come with me. Go on the low and do some snowboarding. Okay, let's go.
As you hear, the audio is pretty clear. Even with my mask on, the GO is attached on top of my helmet. Probably not a good spot for snowboarding as I move my head a lot, but the stabilization is still really good. As you see later on, I attached the GO on my chest, which provide a way better stabilization perspective. The GO is capable of shooting 1440p in 50 frames per second which is great for action sports. I do wish it has 60 frames per second though, as in US, 59.97 FPS is the standard here, not 50 frames per second. It can also shoot 1080p in 120 frames per second in 80 megabits per second speed rate. As you see, the image quality here is really good super slow motion. Not many DSLR or mirrorless camera can get this quality in such a high frame rate, so this is a very impressive feature. Here's a quick user tip. You always want to shoot in Pro Video mode. The best feature of GoTo, I think, for action sport is that you can shoot it first and reframe it in post. In Pro Video mode, it is recording an almost 180-degree full fisheye file, as you see right here. You can then bring these fisheye files onto Insta360 Studio and reframe it into 16:9 horizontal for YouTube, 1:1 for Instagram, and even 9:16 vertical format for TikTok or Instagram Reel. It is kind of like 180 camera. It does not matter if your go-to is shooting like vertical or horizontal or even diagonally. Furthermore, two of them side by side will potentially give you a VR 180 camera. This will be the lightest VR 180 camera for action sports. I don't own two of them just yet, so I can't test it for you right now. But if you are interested in this build, please comment down below and let me know. Raw resolution versus output resolution. As I mentioned, the reason why Insta360 GO can have any aspect ratio is because the camera captures a full fisheye file. So in Pro Video mode, if you shoot at 30 frames per second, your raw video resolution is 2880 by 2880. So it's close to 3K, but in both width and height. If you shoot at 50 frames per second, your raw video resolution is 2688 by 2688. They are both in H.264 with 80 megabits per second bitrate. After processing in Insta360 Studio or the mobile app, the output resolution are 2560 by 1440 or 1920 by 1080 for both 30 frames per second and 50 frames per second. So 30 frames per second in theory will look better than 50 frames per second because of higher raw resolution. So if you don't need 50 frames per second, you should always shoot at 30 frames per second in my humble opinion to get a better image quality. Image quality. Now, let's talk about image quality. The Go2 is 100 times better than the Go 1, as you see in the spec sheet right here. The Go2 uses a 1/2.3 inches image sensor, the same as all major action camera out in the market. I think the best way to see image quality is to do a side-by-side comparison with GoPro and Insta360 One R, the two most popular action camera in 2021. I also throw my iPhone into the mix, as lots of people wondering if GoTo is better than their iPhone 11 or iPhone 12. Well, let's find out. Look at all these videos. Pause for a second. Can you tell which one is shot on the Insta360 GO2? Here is the answer. From left to right, we have Insta360 One R, Insta360 GO2, GoPro, and iPhone. All the footage are available to download without YouTube compression, by the way. So check the Google Drive link in the YouTube description down below. They mostly look the same. And this is impressive when I show you the price tag of each camera. If you do not own a GoPro or a One R, getting the Go2 seems like a no-brainer in 2021. GoPro has a softer image is because its sharpening is turned all the way off. This is actually a GoPro advantage. If you zoom in 300% on the details, you can clearly see compression and over-sharpening artifacts, and it is very obvious in GoTo. It makes sense as Both GoPro and One R has 100 megabit per second bitrate, and Go2 has only 80 megabit per second bitrate, and also stretch in post to defish the fisheye footage. But to be honest, 99% of the people will not notice the quality differences. Stabilization. For daily use, action camera having flawless stabilization is crucial. As you saw my snowboarding footage, it is pretty stable, but how stable when it compared with other action camera? Well, let's find out. Again, from left to right, we have Insta360 One R, shoot in 60 frames per second, Insta360 GO 50 frames per second, GoPro 60 frames per second, and my iPhone 12 60 frames per second also. And in this part, I am actually running backward. iPhone stabilization is not as good as any of the action camera, so that is why people use action camera instead of their phone for action sport. Looking just at the action cameras, they all are very stable, no matter how shaky my hand was. How about horizontal leveling? Here is the ranking. One R is not as good as GoPro, but GoPro is not as good as Go2. The reason why is fisheye or 360 camera in general has better stabilization and horizon locking than the regular 2D camera. Go2 is a fisheye and has a lot of extra pixels to calculate stabilization, and that is why it's better. GoPro with max lens mod, which turned GoPro into a fisheye camera, will also has better stabilization than just the regular GoPro. So, extra tip here, if you like GoPro, getting the GoPro Max Lens Mod is a must for extreme action sport to get a perfect stabilization. Here we have all the cameras slowed down to 60% of the original speed in a 30 frames per second timeline. As you see, 50 frames per second is not looking as good, as smooth as 60 frames per second, but they are still really good. If you like slow motion, Go2 will not disappoint you, especially in 120 frames per second super slow motion in 1080p. That is why Go2 is also an amazing FPV camera. I would highly recommend FPV pilot to check out Go2. It is a lot safer to fly than the GoPro and cheaper to replace if you crash. Usability for action sports. Having good image quality and stabilization is essential, but how about usability in action sports? And that is where Go2 falls short. First, the battery runs out very fast when it's not connected to the charging case right here. In snowboarding or any action sport, you are not using the magnetic neck thingy right here that comes free with the camera. You need to secure the camera right here onto your helmet using a GoPro attachment, as you see right here. And here is my actually snowboarding setup you saw in that video. The problem is that the camera will die within 20 minutes. If you go snowboarding, you expect the camera will run at least 2 hours before charging again. On their official website, they said that the camera could actually operate for 30 minutes without the case. I am using it in snow, so it is reasonable that the runtime is a lot shorter than regular use. You know, winter battery versus regular battery. But 30 minutes mounting on something is not a long enough time neither. Consider you need to demount the camera and put it back into the charging case to charge, which is a hassle when you have glove and helmet on. But my biggest beef with the Go2 is the internal storage solution. You can only store 28 GB of content with no extra SD card solution. So during my snowboarding, I have to go find a laptop to back up my media before I can film again. For any sport require a long recording time, Go2 is not a good option, unfortunately. POV and daily use. If you are an everyday user who loves to take videos for TikTok or social media, let's find out if GoTo is a good option. Having a small size camera that can easily mount on your chest with a super fisheye view is amazing. The POV load, as you see here, is pretty unique. This little camera will be perfect for sneaking in for places like normally do not allow camera, like an art gallery or a nightclub. I'm not saying you should do it though. We actually talked to the owner of the Jim Carrey artwork and they are okay for us to film. Please respect other people's arts and privacy and ask before you film. We also did some extreme stabilization tests like filming aircraft takeoff and landing. As you see right here, when the plane lands, the camera are still pretty stable, which is very impressive. For average user who have a shaky hand like myself, using it without a gimbal is great. Low light quality. But even for daily use, there is a condition that I think the camera is somewhat useless. In a low light situation like a nightclub, even though the camera is very stable, you see a rolling shutter blurry effects when there's not enough light. I think Insta360 need a sport mode to limit the shutter speed to not go below 60. This will eliminate this problem, but in the initial release, this is not a feature just yet. Here is the low light image quality. It is pretty grainy as expected for a small sensor camera. So when the sun is down, your GoTo is pretty much useless. Well, to be fair, same as your GoPro or your One R. Photo. Another great feature of GoTo is its photo quality. I can take DNG photo using the same technology that the Insta360 user loves, Pureshot. Check out this sunset photo of Lake Tahoe. It is absolutely breathtaking. It captured the sunset color accurately with minimal noise, which is a lot better than my iPhone. To test the limit of this little GoTo camera, we even drive up to Joshua Tree where there's no light pollution to capture the Milky Way, astrophotography. GoTo allowed 30 seconds to even 2-minute long exposure. See the result yourself. It is pretty impressive for this tiny little camera. It can never replace your DSLR, but it is a fun camera to have for photographers. Other features. GoTo is an IPX8 to 4 meter, 13 feet waterproof. It has an FPV mod that is designed for FPV. It has an interchangeable lens cover to protect your lens, as you see right here. I think that is very smart as people is going to drop this little camera left and right. So because I had the idea but they actually never... It comes with many mounts. Car mounts, head mounts, magnetic mount and action sport GoPro mount, so you don't need to buy any extra accessory. You definitely get your money worth considering it's only $299 US. Check out this head mount right here. It's pretty cool, right? It's filming right now. Every other YouTuber will glorify how small this camera is and it's the size of an Apple AirPod. Well, it's not really true. You know, if you put that back, this is the size of the AirPod and this is the size of a GoTo. The GoTo is considerably larger and heavier than the Apple AirPod. In fact, it's almost the same size as the GoPro Heroes 8. Look at that. It's almost the same size as the GoPro Heroes 8. So if you can put the One R into your pocket, you can definitely put the GoPro into your pocket as well. So size should not be the reason why you buy this camera. HDR video is also not a feature. The quality of HDR video is bad in most situations, just as the Insta360 One X2 or the One R. It is a gimme as an 8-bit color depth camera cannot have a true HDR dynamic range. Any professional colorist can tell you about that. But Go2 has a really good dynamic range by itself. It does not require the gimmicky HDR mode. As you see right here, when I point the camera to the sun in a moving car, the camera handles really well. You can see the sun, which not even my eyes can see it. It has the ability to use ND filters, which is also a very welcoming feature for outdoor sport and also for FPV users. Thank you so much for watching this unbiased review of the brand new Insta360 GO 2. I use it for almost 3 months now and I have to say I really enjoy it. It is a great in-between solution for my phone and an action camera. I find myself bringing the GO 2 along on my personal adventure way more often than the GoPro or the Insta360 One R. And it is a great eye candy that gets people curious. If you're an influencer, I think the camera is great for daily vlogging with decent audio and great image quality. It is very easy to shoot and you never miss an important moment ever again. This is the real reason why you should consider this little action camera. It is not a replacement of your action camera or 360 camera. We will have more tutorials and review of the Insta360 GO 2 coming on Creator Up, like turning this into a 3D VR 180 POV camera. If you appreciate my honesty in this review, please give me a thumb up and share this video on your social media. If you are new to the channel, it will be really appreciated if you can considering subscribing and hit the notification bell to keep up to date. And I will see you next time. Maya Angelou famously said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel." The ability to make your audience feel love or hate, joy or despair, fear or enjoyment had never been more at our fingertips than now with virtual reality 360 storytelling. If you have ever wondered how to make a film, documentary or fictional piece using this new medium that creates an emotional impact, a feeling that they will never forget, then please come join me, as it is my mission to give you this power to touch, to inspire, and to create. In this 360 VR filmmaking masterclass, we will give you a framework to work from as a storyteller or filmmakers using your familiar language. No matter what your skill level is in immersive production, you can take away a wealth of knowledge from some of the world's leading experts in the field. We will cover practical topics like fundraising, client communication, budgeting, scripting and storyboarding, directing, blogging, set and space design, camera and shooting, lighting, spatial audio, DIT, stitching and editing, and even distribution in the entire VR filmmaking ecosystem. I hope this course will serve as your go-to guide on VR filmmaking, so you can go out there and create. No matter if you are a VR producer, director, camera operator, or VR enthusiast.